Hello, sixth graders. It's Mr. Gardell. Glad to be back with you. How are you today? I hope you're doing well. I'm having an amazing day because I'm here, quote unquote, with you. All right. All week I've been throwing jokes out, and I know you've been laughing, and I'm certain that your learning and getting started with your learning has suffered because of it, because you just simply couldn't stop laughing. So I got another joke for you. Why not end the week with another joke? As always, though, you have to promise me you have to be seated. The last thing I want to hear is that you were standing, heard the joke, fell, and got injured. All right, here's our joke. What do librarians take with them when they go fishing? What do librarians take with them when they go fishing? I'll give you 5 seconds. The correct answer is bookworms. Get it? Ah, I know. Hilarious. Another one of the amazing, hilarious jokes. All right. So, as we wrap up the week, there's a few things that I want to accomplish in this video. One is I want to review the 2 readings from yesterday, and I want to focus on the land treaty map that should be completed by now, and then also make sure that we continue to proceed numerically through our learning process in social studies and make sure that we're ready for the first learning checkpoint of quarter 4. So, first thing is, let's take a look at the review on A New Nation Grows in the first land deal. So, let me share this with you. Okay. Whoopsie daisy. There we go. Perfect. So, what you can do right now is pause the video if you need to. Otherwise, what you can do is follow along. But I think it would be best if you had your notes with you. And remember, I asked you to save those notes because these notes are going to be helpful to you when you get to the learning checkpoint today. But just as reminders, you needed to know 3 vocabulary terms in the first section of A New Nation Grows. Westward expansion, again, is the movement of settlers and immigrants from the eastern part of the US or United States to the Midwest and West during the 1800s. Okay. And as more and more people moved westward, some eventually settled in what is now Minnesota. And it's because of that settlement that what the US government needed to do within the state of Minnesota is make treaties with the Dakota and the Ojibwe to obtain their land so settlers could legally live there. Treaties, again, is a written agreement between 2 or more nations. We should have that definition down by now. We should know what treaties are. You shouldn't need me reminding you anymore. Sovereign is a more challenging term that came up, and I wanted you just to think about what it meant. Sovereign just simply means self-ruling and independent. The Dakota are sovereign or self-ruling and independent from the Ojibwe. Okay, they are not the same. They are self-ruling. They're not separate countries, but they are self-ruling and independent. And they're also independent and self-ruling from the United States. So, what were the goals of the U.S. regarding westward expansion? Well, the goals of the U.S. regarding westward expansion was to acquire land from the indigenous people, the Dakota and the Ojibwe, and other indigenous nations through the treaty process. This would allow settlers, as I said earlier, to legally move west and settle and stay in the lands of Minnesota and other territories as well throughout the U.S. So, how did the balance of power play a role in the U.S. acquiring land from the Dakota and the Ojibwe? They didn't just sit and flex their muscles. What balance of power did is it played a crucial role in the U.S. acquiring land from the Dakota and the Ojibwe. The U.S. was far more powerful than the Dakota and Ojibwe, and they knew that. And the U.S. at times would use force if needed and necessary to get the Dakota and the Ojibwe to give up their land. So yes, they did quote unquote flex their power, flex their muscles, because they did. They were far, far, far more powerful numbers wise and from a military standpoint than the Dakota and the Ojibwe. So that's A New Nation Grows. The first land deal, in order for the treaty to become official, it needs to be ratified by the US Congress. And so ratify means to formally approve, and that's exactly what happened 3 years after Zebulon Pike obtained 2 chunks of land from the Dakota. And we're going to focus on those right now. And what you were asked to do to start with is to summarize, and you had to use the following words and year to summarize the first land deal. So in other words, you needed to use the year 1805, Zebulon Pike, the word Fort Badote is how that's pronounced, Fort Snelling, 7 Dakota leaders, treaty, and 2. So here's my summary of the first land deal. In 1805, Zebulon Pike obtained 2 chunks of land from the Dakota in exchange for $200 worth of goods and $2,000. 7 Dakota leaders agreed and signed the treaty in which one chunk of land was located at Badote, where the Minnesota and Mississippi rivers meet. The U.S. planned to build a fort at this site. This fort would later be named Fort Snelling. So in the end, really that's what Pike was trying to do, is find a chunk of land, okay, where the U.S. government could build a fort. And that chunk of land was at Badote, where the Minnesota and Mississippi rivers meet. Unfortunately, we won't be able to take a field trip to Fort Snelling. In past years we have, but obviously for COVID reasons, we are not able to do that this school year. The second question, describe the locations of the 2 chunks of land the U.S. acquired from the Dakota in 1805. One of the chunks of land the U.S. government obtained from the Dakota is located at Badote, which I've already discussed, or where the Minnesota and Mississippi rivers meet. The other chunk of land is located at the meeting of the St. Croix and Mississippi rivers. Why do you think the U.S. government wanted land where there was water? Because if you think about the first 2 chunks of land that the U.S. government obtained, it was always at the meeting of 2 rivers. Why are rivers so important? What did they serve as? Okay, not going to give you the answer, just something for you to think about. And lastly, what did the Dakota receive for giving up these 2 chunks of land? I alluded to it already in my summary. The Dakota initially received $200 worth of goods from the U.S. government and later received $2,000 for both chunks of land they obtained in a land treaty. So those are the notes. Again, if you wanted to pause and write down more information to help you on the first learning checkpoint of quarter 4, feel free to. Otherwise, I'm going to go quickly over the land treaty map with you to make sure that yours is accurate. And if not, again, you can change it. This would be another resource that you would want to use on your learning checkpoint. The other resource besides this, of course, would be your vocabulary for this chapter, Land Changes Hands. So between those 3 resources, those are going to help you to be successful in learning checkpoint number 1 for quarter 4. So first step, label the following locations on map A. I'm just going to go in any order. So the first one is the Mississippi River. Okay. There's the Minnesota River south of it, and where they meet. Whoops, I'm getting ahead of myself. Sorry, I'll back up. Before they meet those 2 rivers, there is St. Anthony Falls. There's Fort Snelling, where Badote is located, or the Minnesota and Mississippi rivers meet. You will also find the American Fur Trading Company there, and then an island named after Zebulon Pike, known as Pike Island. Okay, and then you should have lightly shaded or drew that dark line draw tool in Kami and basically outline where the dots are on that map. And inside of those dots, okay, that's that chunk of land, or one of the 2 chunks of land that Pike obtained from the Dakota that ultimately Fort Snelling was built on. The building of the fort started in 1819 and was finished in 1825. All right, so where is the Minnesota and Mississippi rivers? Where do they meet on a larger scale map of Minnesota? There it is. There's that red little dot. That's where they meet. Again, if you need to change yours, do it. Okay, that's part of the learning process. I'm not perfect. We all make mistakes. It's going to happen. But let's not just keep making the same mistakes. Let's fix our mistakes so we can learn and move forward and grow as learners. Okay, I'm going to exit out of that. If you just needed to pause that, obviously you can pause the video at any time in order to get the correct answers. So number 2, ask you to complete a broken promises learning activity. I simply want you to click on that. That'll bring you to a link and you'll watch really a short 10-minute video. But the neat thing about this video is you get to determine the ending. And so I don't want to say anything more than that, but it basically summarizes, okay, what the Dakota and the Ojibwe, for that matter, went throughout the treaty process and how they felt and reacted because of it. And so what I want you to do, number 3, then, is respond to the following question. Describe your feelings and emotions after completing the Broken Promises learning activity. It says in Schoology, so you will have to click on that date. Broken Promises learning activity, click on it here. And then you would just simply type in your response, make sure it is incomplete sentence or sentences, and then simply click post. I'm not going to obviously post anything. And then you can read how your classmates felt about the Broken Promises learning activity or that video that you watched. All right, I'm going to go back and back again. There we go. So again, we're doing everything, all of our learning again today in numerical order. Once I finished the Broken Promises learning activity and posted my feelings and emotions on how I felt in going through this process as if I were the Dakota or the Ojibwe, then you're going to move on to the final learning activity for today, which is the learning checkpoint. Now, you won't see create new video here, okay, when you watch this video, but again, I want to reinforce there's 3 separate learning activities that you should focus on to help you to complete and be successful in learning checkpoint 1. One is the chapter 6 vocabulary. 2 is your notes on A New Nation Grows in the First Land Deal. And 3 is the land treaty map. Between those 3 resources, you should have nothing but success on this learning checkpoint. All right. Just like that, a week's come and gone. Good luck with everything today. I hope to see a lot of 100% on your learning checkpoints. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to your HOA teacher or me, of course. Take care and have a fabulous weekend. Bye now.